Couple of notes before I proceed. So obviously, I realize I have uh, made a mistake in the process and taken the cam caps off um, in the wrong orientation. Um, but I also realized it somewhat in time, and I marked the gears with a paint pen so I know exactly where it can go back together. So I'm not too concerned that I'm going to get the timing horribly wrong. And since we have all the timing tools, we can get the timing back exactly on spec uh, when we put everything back together. So right now I'm going to put the cam caps back on, and then I will slide the gear back over, do all the procedure as per the factory manual, and then we'll retime the engine, uh, or we'll check the clearances, final clearances, and retime the engine. The second note I wanted to mention was I thought I needed three uh, 0.2 mm shims, or 0.22. Let me check. I meant 2.2 mm shims. But I ended up using a 2.24 mm shim here, and it still brings our clearance to within spec. Uh, Although not right at the top end, it's a little bit off, but still perfectly within service limits. So that hopefully should be fine, but we'll put everything back together. We'll torque stuff on, and then we will measure the clearances and check. So just a quick mention that I have the copper washers that go at the top of these cam cap bolts. I'm going to replace them. So the copper washers go around the top of the cam cap bolts that are placed around the spark plug hole socket. So I'll be swapping these four, 1, 2, 3, 4 copper washers out there. Yeah, they go on the top of these bolts, cam cap bolts. I'm just going to swap them over. Another quick mention is there are two O-rings at the bottom of the cam caps that go over the spark plug socket. I'm going to be swapping these as well. So I'm just sort of struggling a little bit to get these O-rings in here because there are these little metallic tabs that stick out, 1, 2, and 3, that are preventing the O-ring from going in smoothly. So I'm just trying to get them into the seat without damaging the O-ring as much as possible. You can see the factory O-rings are clearly been pinched at those 3 points. I just lubricated it with some engine oil and I'm slowly massaging them in there. Yeah, that seems to have done the trick. Just gotta be patient and slowly get them in there. Also, it doesn't help that it's like 50 Fahrenheit in the garage right now. So the rubber is not super pliable. This one is in much better shape. That one wasn't installed very well. I'm just temporarily putting the old bolts um, that holds the cam to the timing gear back in, and I'm going to retension or retime the engine just to make sure everything is in time, and then I'll put the new cam bolts in and torque them to spec once those come in. um, there are a couple of o-rings at the bottom of this oil pipe, but I've chosen not to replace them. They look fine and they're really pliable. I have some o-rings in a very similar size that would probably work just fine, but yeah, these o-rings look okay, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm going to do this to 50-inch pound first, and then to the spec, which is 97-inch pounds, I think 11 Newton meters. So stage 1 I did 50-inch pounds. Now I think I'll do the full spec, which is 11 Newton meters or like 97-inch pounds, something like that. Okay, all of these are torqued to spec. So now I'm going to rotate and retime the engine, make sure everything is still in time. We might be a few degrees off just because I messed up while taking it off, but let's see how it goes. I only have one bolt on here, but I think I should probably try to get this torqued at least. We'll see. I mean, it should be fine for now. Looks like we're off by a few degrees, which is fine. I'm going to put in this cam bolt and loosen that guy off and take it off so that we can actually adjust the timing. Taken the other bolt off and got this spun to where the pin is in now, and I can see that the divot is forward by a few degrees. Let me see if I can rig you in and show you that. So if you look between the two gears, you can see maybe you can see the flywheel and the divot on the flywheel. Yeah, so I need to rotate the engine back a few degrees and have essentially the ring stay in the same place. Let me see how we can do that. Okay, so now I have the engine fully retimed. So essentially I loosened this bolt. So actually first thing I did was get the crank into position and put the pin in, the crankshaft pin, this guy, and then I loosened this bolt and I spun the cam around till the hole in the hole on the cam gear lines up with the hole on the U-bolt over here, and the spin is being able to be pushed through, and then that makes the timing between the crank and the intake cam. And then as you can see, hopefully, let me grab a light here, and as you can see there in the gears, the single dot on the intake cam is meshing with the two dots on the exhaust cam. That makes the intake and exhaust cams in time. And so the engine is back to being fully timed now. Now what I'm going to do is spin it around a couple of times, and then make sure everything still lines up correctly and we are where we expect everything to be. Okay, with the engine back in time, I'm going to now check all the clearances again and make sure we have the correct clearances after we've changed the shims. So that's perfect. All the clearances are exactly right. So let's do one more retime, check that everything is correct, and we'll move on. So as we see again, two dots lined up with the one dot, they're all meshed together. Crank pin is in, cam pin is in, and the cam pin is in with the divot. So everything's perfectly in time. And I've spun the engine around by hand a few times and everything feels fine. We'll attack the front bank next. I'm just gonna pop the valve cover on here temporarily, just keep that and stuff out.